Hello, I'm Jay, owner of Volunteer Audio in Oliver Springs, Tennessee. I'm going to show you how to take your 5x7 lids, whether that's the Boom Stage 2 lids, Boom Stage 1, HD Audio by Rockford, or maybe you just bought some lids that held a 5x7 and now you've realized that's not for me, I need some 6x9s. I'm going to show you how to modify them, add in the adapters to put 6x9s in. So hang out and I'll show you how to make your system so much better. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and remove the cloth that normally keeps the lid from opening too far. Remove these two T15 Torx. I'm going to do the same thing up here at the hinge. Now we've got the cloth out of the way. You can get a view, a little bit more of the inside of the bag. We'll be needing to get in here to cut this out as well. So there's two more T15s. We're going to go to remove those. As we remove those, we're separating the lid from the bag. So now they're not connected. I'm going to slide my lid on in and set our bag to the side. All right, so now I've got a towel laid out here because I just want to make sure we don't scratch anything. But what I'm going to do next is I'm going to remove the 4 Torx bolts that hold the grill on and remove the grill. I'll then flip it over and tape it just to make sure there's no other way that we cause any scratches to it. So let's flip our lid over. Now we're going to go ahead and remove that grill. We're going to get a good view of what the speaker that's underneath it. All right, so now once you've got this exposed, you're going to take 4 more screws out. These are T20 that hold the 5x7 in place. We're going to take a second. I want to compare this 5x7 to the 6x9 that we're going to be installing. Now we do have a really good 5x7 option made by Precision Power that doesn't require this modification that you're fixing to watch us do. And if you wanted to do this upgrade and not have to do it, we just set you up with a Precision Power 5x7. It's going to handle a lot better bass than the original Boom Audio one. It's going to handle a lot more power also. See, this one has actually come apart. The mid is damaged. And you see here those 2 connections we talked about. One set of connections is actually ran up just to run these 2 tweeters, and the other set of connections runs that mid-woofer. So let's do a little side-by-side comparison between our 2 speakers. As you can see, we have a lot more cone surface area, which is going to give us a lot more overall sound, but it's also going to give us better bass response. The larger that cone, the lower frequencies it can play. This is completely water sealed, so water will not go through this 6x9 into the bag. There's a nice gasket on it. And we also have a similar 3-way setup with a larger tweeter and a smaller tweeter. Now if we look on the back side, again, we have a much larger neodymium magnet. This actually has some magnetic properties that will try to stick to something, where this one I've yet to find where the actual magnet is at. Back to 1 set of connections, and we'll be running our lid disconnect harness setup to those when we get this modified. All right, so we're just going to put some masking tape all the way across the top of the bag. This way, if any of these little plastic shavings land in our towel we've got laid out here, it doesn't scratch the paint. Just kind of gives us 1 more layer of protection. We don't want to mess anything up and have to go to a paint shop. like there's a coating on this that the tape does not really want to stick to like it does on normal paint. Probably a ceramic coating or something to keep it clean. Could just be simple wax. This doesn't have to be perfect. All this is just a layer of protection to keep us from possibly scratching the paint. I don't think we would do it either way, but we just want to make sure. All right. One more little piece on this corner. One more down through here. So now we'll flip it over and we'll leave it on that tape for now. I'll grab my saw and we'll start cutting on this. All right, so let me tell you what the purpose of what we're doing is. We're going to be removing this plastic shell. This was there because the little 5x7 that was in place had such a small magnet. It would build up enough heat that it could have damaged your belongings in the bag. Now by putting a proper sized magnet, like on our Hertz SX690 Neo, it's not going to generate enough heat to cause any damage. But now we have to try to fit this larger speaker in place. So we're going to be cutting this plastic shell off. We're going to be adapting two other pieces. We'll show that later that hold the 6x9. But to start, I'm going to do that from the other side. This particular lid is about 1/4 inch thick, maybe a little less, somewhere between 1/8 and 1/4. I've cut a lot of these before, so I know about where to start, but I'm going to take this multi-tool and I'm going to start cutting about that distance. I don't want to cut it too close because I'm going to flip it over, I'm going to cut a little bit more, and then we're going to sand it smooth because our adapters need to actually get a good seal on the underside to keep water out of the bag. So once you've went all the way around, you want to go back to each one of these areas where the bolt held the grill in, and you want to cut all the way. All right, let's flip it upside down. So I've cut around the perimeter. Now this plastic gets hot, and as it gets hot, it melts back together. But there is a section right here that's a little difficult to cut. I'm just going to cut straight down all the way around through here and just kind of get this loose so we can separate the shell. So now I'm just going to pull around on it. Yep, seems like we got all the way through. So we've got it off. Now I'm going to go back and I'm going to trim it a little closer. I've got a lot better angle here to get our saw in now. Find an angle that works for you to make sure you can do your pull in. Change batteries to one that's a little smaller. All right. All right, so I think we've got it down close enough that now I'm going to just kind of clean up some of the plastic on the edges, grab our DA sander, and I'm going to sand this thing down smooth, and I'll show you how that works here in just a minute. All right, you may hear some thunder in the background. We got a storm outside right now. I'm going to take our DA. I've got a battery powered one. I end up tearing up a lot of sandpaper doing this because you'll catch it on the edges. So just have plenty to be able to swap out and go to another piece if needed. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and put on a piece that's not already tore up. Difficult to probably see from that angle. I'll try to come over here and do it. All right, I think we've got it pretty close. All right, so as you see, this isn't something that we're trying to make absolutely perfect, but what we did is we cut it down close. We then continued to sand it till we got a good smooth edge all the way around to mount it. Now the adapters we're using are made by American Hard Bags, and they have their own directions on their website. We do things a little different. I do it different because I tried their way first and I had some issues. First off, we're going to be drilling out the 4 original screws that held in the 5x7s. And they tell you to actually bolt in some nutserts and use a tool, and it's going to swell those nutserts. It's going to hold the speaker in. Well, this plastic is so thin and so close that when you do this and you swell it, it cracks the plastic. I can't stand having all the plastic cracked around all those nutserts. So I've got a little bit of a different method. So let me grab a drill and I'll show you how I do that. All right, so you're going to get these nutserts and stainless hardware from American Hard Bags. And they've got a really nice kit. I'm not taking anything away from them, but their method is to actually crimp this nutsert in. But let's follow their directions. We're going to go ahead and drill out the 4 holes. We're just drilling this to the size of the nutsert. And you see how thin and how close this hole is. I don't know if you can tell that. There's almost nothing there. If we swell that, it just immediately cracks it. Now, a couple of the other ones don't do so bad, but I think we've got a better way. So let me show you that way. So the way this nutsert goes, it goes down like this into the bag. I'm going to go ahead and start one of our screws on it. And we'll flip it over and I'll show you this process. Actually, I'll flip it over and screw it in. I'm going to go ahead and start these screws in all 4 locations here. Let me get those in. All right, I've got a special adhesive here I want to tell you about. I guess some people would call it a secret. It's not really a secret, or I wouldn't be making a YouTube video showing you how to do everything. It's made by a company called Stick-Fast. So Stick-Fast actually makes a super glue. We're all familiar with super glue, a CA glue. And they make it in 3 types. They make CA thick, they make a thin, and then they make what they call a medium. But what I really like about it is it has this Stick-Fast activator that very, very quickly dries the glue. So if you ever use super glue, you've probably got it on everything, including your fingers, and it's made a mess. So I'm going to show you what we do in this case. Instead of swelling this up and busting it, what I've got is I've got a screw in it just so I can hold it up straight. And I'm going to put a little bit of this around this nutsert. It doesn't take much. This stuff dries very quickly and it is very strong. Once I've got a little bit of it around it, I'm going to hit it with this activator. So I blow it because it just dries a little bit faster and it keeps it from running everywhere. But now this will continue to dry over the next couple of minutes and it will get harder and harder. I'm going to do the same thing to each one of the other ones. When you hit it with the activator, it tends to lay down flat. And I'll tell you from experience, if you get it on your finger and then hit it with the activator, it gets very, very hot. So I definitely wouldn't suggest that you allow it to get on your skin and then hit it with the activator. Do each additional bolt or nutsert. All right, let's do our last one here. This glue is pretty inexpensive and it comes in handy for all sorts of things. We use it to put emblems on our grills. A lot of people use it in the car audio world for sticking tweeter pods and door panels and such. But here we have all of our screws are started. Our nutserts are glued in. We're going to take them back out now. We're going to now apply our gaskets to our adapter pieces. But first, we've got to put our grill back in, because if we don't put the grill back in, we won't have access to the screws after our next step. All right, so I'm gonna pull back a little bit of our tape now. We're not doing any more cutting. We're a lot less likely to cause a problem, but I need to expose the edge of where our grill is gonna go on. All right, so we're gonna set our grill back in, flip it back over, put our screws in. Now you had some longer screws that held the speaker in originally. It's not going to be those. They would go all the way through and maybe even damage the grill. It's going to be the shorter coarse screws that you took out earlier. All right, so let's put our gasket on our parts. So American Hard Bags is going to send you out this gasket. Now this kit is available at volunteeraudio.com as well as American Hard Bags. We include it in many of our packages. What we're going to do is apply a gasket to both sides of the one that's the size of a 5x7. Peel this back, start somewhere in the middle. Make sure you don't skip this step. This is what's going to keep water out of your bag. It's going to make everything seal up nice. It's also going to make all that sound come out and kind of push it right out this hole. All right, so we're just going to bring that around to where it meets up. Now I'm going to take a razor blade and cut it. All right, so I got one side and I'm going to flip it over and go ahead and do the other side. All right, so now we've applied our gasket all the way around both sides. You'll notice there's actually part of this that is cut out, and that's going to go in on the part right here that's very, very close. There's just not enough room, so it's going to make sense that it fits there. And then each one of these is actually big enough to clear that nut-cert. So we're just going to push it around until it clears each one of the nut-certs and it's set in flat. All right, so the next part is our actual 6x9 adapter. You'll notice it also has a flat area just like we had on that other part. So let me bring it up so you can see it again. It's going to go in just like this. Now we're going to drop each one of our screws in and we're going to hand start them into those nut-certs. Definitely want to make sure you get them started straight, because if you don't, you're going to rip your nut certs out. It's not going to work well. We've got a storm blowing outside. All right, I was able to get them all started. I'm just going to snug them all down. You don't want to over tighten this. This is like some sort of plastic that they machine this out of. If you went too tight, I'm afraid you would crack it or possibly break it. Keep dropping my screwdriver. Let's get them in here, each one of them snug. And you'll see it, once you get it down to bottomed out, it's going to continue to pull because it's got two gaskets that it's sandwiching in place. All right, so I've got our adapter on. Next, we've got to put one more layer of gasket down. So around this outside edge, we're going to put another layer of the gasket that's included in the kit. This is going to keep water from coming in between the speaker and the adapter. So I've used this adapter before with the Hertz SX690 Neos. I've used them with the Infinity Kappa Perfect, the 900Xs. We've used them with the new Precision Power 6x9s, the MAS 694s. They all fit really well without anything additionally needed. All right, so we've got that gasket in place. Now, all we have to do is bolt in our 6x9. All right, so we're going to put our 6x9 in with our terminals facing toward the middle of the bag. Just going to drop it in here, make sure all of our holes line up. And included in this kit from American Hard Bags is new stainless hardware, some new coarse screws to hold the speaker in place. A lot of electrical flickers going on here. We've got a heck of a storm outside. Sounds like a tornado is about to blow through. And it's a lot of rain, a lot of thunder, and the wind is howling. It's a good time to be inside working on a bike instead of outside riding one for sure. I'm going to bring all the screws down close to being tight. I'm not going to go all the way with any of them yet, so I can center my speaker up perfectly. And I'm using hand tools because if you use a drill, it's a good chance you're going to slip, possibly poke a hole in a speaker. All right, so now we've got that done. Let's flip it over and we'll untape it. All right, so now you can see we've got our Hertz 6x9 in here, or whatever brand that you end up doing in the kit that you choose. But it looks really good. It's sealed very well from the back. Looks as if it could be factory installed into the lid. We've not messed anything up. We took our time. We taped it off. We did it. Don't be in a hurry. If you're in a hurry, you're going to scratch something, you're going to mess something up. But I think it's about as perfect as you're going to be able to get this done. I hope that this has encouraged you to do this, because if you have the 5x7s in the Boom 2, you already know they can't handle bass like a 6x9 can. And if you're tired of continually blowing those size speakers, just move up to the 6x9s. Take these few steps. You don't have to repaint a lid by doing it this way. You don't have to buy a lid already for a 6x9. And it looks really good when you're done. And it's sealed up really well. So I hope this helped you. Thank you for watching. Hope it encouraged you. If you think this is too much, this is beyond what you want to do, reach out to us. We'd be happy to do it for you. We set up an appointment, have you come in. But I hope this showed you all the steps and it showed you how to do it yourself. It's going to save you a couple labor hours somewhere having it done, as well as you're going to get that the joy it comes from successfully doing a pretty big job. So thank you for watching. I hope you liked the video. Please like it, please subscribe, please share with your friends. And we're going to continue building this bike, so I hope you watch the next video too. Thank you and God bless.